would you be a dear and help with these spoilings, please?
Looks like she could use our help. Let's get her. Nice!
Don't get too comfortable. More are on the way. Fantastic. People. I was about to lose my wits.
A mind's question. The dust of the Akita in her hair. She knocks. We would answer.
You wouldn't happen to have a ladder on hand, would you? To climb, of course.
You're welcome to my shoulders.
There's a godless artifact just out of reach, and I must have it. But perhaps we don't need one. You're tall, striking, and well-toned. Well, I'm not surprised you don't know of the godless. But they were here in the living lands long before we were. Long before anyone else, as far as I can tell. Give or take a few thousand years. They lived on every corner of the lands. You must have passed a few of their ruins on the way here. The big ones, with spires that look more than a little phallic. A lot of their structures were embedded in the ground. They lived in harmony with the land. I mean, as much as you can live in harmony with the land actively trying to kill you. Maybe it was nicer back then. 30 years of research, and as far as I can tell, they just upped and disappeared one day. Fascinating, right? Well, what's important is that the vase is within my grasp, now that I've a tall, dark, and handsome stranger to help. There's a vase in this ruin that's too high for me to reach. Fetch it for me. I can pay you in skates if you do. The vase sits atop that tower beside us, in the ruins there. And once you've got it, look me up. Yatsley, wizard extraordinaire, godless expert, and a Balrog in the bedroom.
You do meet the most interesting people.
I can get you 1,000 faces that don't require going into some ancient ruins. But no one listens to me. You showed up at a bad time.
Ah, the Emperor's envoy. Inquisitor Ludwig said you might be heading this way. As am I, in a way. Forgive me. I'm Captain Alfir, captain in the Steel Garrote. If you're here to speak with Vidaro, I'm afraid you'll find the governor is quite beyond reason. These Valians and their love of animancy. Fair enough, envoy. Talk to the man all you'd like. When diplomacy fails, the Steel Garrote will be ready to ensure the safety of Adiran interests. We all have our part to play, envoy. Until later.
She's as subtle as a broadside.
Does subtle mean something different outside of Solace?
Can I interest you in some glaive berries or better spells, perhaps?
Prices seem a bit steep.
Giata, what's the meaning of this?
Look at these crops. Look at your city. The Dream Scourge is laying waste to our home.
There is no Dream Scourge in Emerald Stair.
The land begs to differ, and I can prove it.
We can discuss this in private.
We are discussing it now. How can you ignore what's right in front of you? The Dream Scourge is here, in the soil, and it's killing us. Oh my goodness. Are you a godlike? In that case, you're right on time.
Maybe you can talk some sense into our governor. Put the fear of the gods in him.
Tempers are high, but I don't see any assassins. Yet.
Excuse me, but unless you have official business, I'll thank you not to involve yourself in our private discussion. Very well. I hope you remember that behind these walls, your influence has limits.
I'm sure he didn't come all this way just to challenge your authority. As you can see, I was just proving a point to our esteemed governor.
A cart full of spoiled vegetables. You call that a point?
Ha! Emerald Stair used to be a lush garden for miles around, and now I don't even recognize it. First came the invasive species, roots and mycelium growing overnight, as though nature itself had gone mad. The Dream Scourge has twisted our lands, our wildlife, and now, our farms. Indeed. We were fighting the Dream Scourge before it even had a name. I believe that we can restore the land, bring back its soul and its sanity, cut off the Dream Scourge at the root. Our governor would rather ignore the problem. He doesn't trust animancy as his father did. Before we can deal with the Dream Scourge, we first need to understand it. Unfortunately, new experiments have to go through him.
Once again, bureaucracy stands in the way of getting things done.
I'm just trying to stop Chiata from hurting herself. Animancy is dangerous when you're shooting in the dark. I see you're unfamiliar with animancy. Be careful with your assumptions. Are you going to tell him about your family's basement? Or should I?
How dare you use that against me?
I know it was an accident, but look what it cost you. We can't let it happen again.
While we argue among ourselves, the Dream Scourge is tearing the living lands apart. Tearing our people apart. Then we'd better do it somewhere else. Well, Governor, looks like I'm taking some time away from my duties. I'll trouble you no more.
Your request is denied, Chiata.
I wasn't asking.
Your responsibilities are to the settlement. Turning away from them sets a precedent that I cannot allow.
Everything I have proposed has been for Fior, and you still refuse to cooperate. Under the circumstances, I don't have much of a choice.
Then neither do I. Giata Castel, from this day forth, you are banished from Fior Messiverno.
Whoa, you're banishing her for that?
What?
Ignacy, we can't lose our brightest animancer in the middle of a crisis.
Your pupil has gone too far, Quilici. Take her and leave. You're still a guest in my town, but to us, Giata is an outcast. Perhaps But I can't just let her continue to poison the minds of my animancers.
They aren't your animancers. Your father understood that.
Don't bother, old man. He isn't his father. I've done all I can for Fior Mesiverna. But you haven't even tried. Now limp back to your giant house like a good dog. We should talk somewhere private. Meet me at my house due west, by the workshop.
I'll find us another bedroom.
That did not go as I had planned.
What did you think would happen when you confronted him so?
Well, my first idea was to mess up his house. Maybe break a window or two.
Perhaps I should thank you for showing restraint.
I'm sorry you had to see that. What an asshole.
Giata, some manners, if you please.
Why start now?
We're on the verge of extinction, but our governor is too busy protecting his fragile ego. What does he know? He isn't even an animancer.
You did challenge his authority.
I know, but... curses. Without Fior Mesiverno, I'm hardly even an animancer. My tools, the workshop, all gone.
I wish I could take credit for Giata's stubbornness, but she learned that on her own.
Thanks, old man. At least now I'm free to study whatever I want. On my terms. The Dream Scourge has been a thorn in my side for too long. I have plans for this island, and they don't involve the Dream Scourge. But that's a story for another day.
Your parents would be proud to see such tenacity.
Anyway, listen to us babble. Let's talk about you. I never expected to see an Nadiran envoy here. You've got a lot of guts showing your face in a town full of animancers. Likewise. They should be educational for us both. Our first order of business is the Dream Scourge, but I'm also curious about you. There aren't many godlike left these days. Indeed. Some of my colleagues would fight me for the opportunity to study you. I only bring it up because animancy might offer us some insight into your nature. Keep an open mind. While I pack up my belongings, you can help me by... I don't even know. I just realized this is the end. I have to leave your Mesiverno. Forever.
Some people don't find out who they really are until they leave home.
You'll be all right. My advice, find a good tavern and learn how to prepare a squirrel over an open flame.
Maybe if I focus on what I have gained, I can learn to accept everything I've lost. When it comes to the Dream Scourge, we haven't been allowed to acknowledge the problem, much less act on a solution. Today, that changes. I need help from the animancers around town, but as you can see, I'm an outcast. Don't worry. Ignacy can't banish us all. Manto Pastor is in the workshop due west. He's got an invention that can help us. Elia Rossell is an authority on the undead. Her methods are controversial, but useful. She lives in a cottage southeast of town. And then there's Yvette and Remy, our philosophers. You'll find them at the docks, southeast of Fjord. Each of them owes me a favor. Drop my name, and they'll tell you what they know about the Dream Scourge. We're about to make history. But first, research.
Guessing she's not much of a hunter. Might want to get extra rations next time we go shopping.
Godlike.
Founded machine. Oh, I heard there was a new arrival, but I didn't expect a godlike. Welcome to our modest workshop. Giada, what a loss. I owe that young woman more than I could ever repay. Unfortunately, I cannot do a lick of research while my equipment is underpowered and overworked. Ha! A novel idea, that. What I need is a stronger power source. Perhaps, if you can help me find an appropriate battery of essence. I could use a large single block of Atra, but harvesting it is difficult in this environment. Oh, wait. One of our rangers reported that an Adragon recently died in a western grove. An Adragon's heart can hold an immense amount of essence. The grove is to the west, across the chasm. You can't miss it. The rangers say a Delamgan queen holds court there. You may be able to retrieve it without violence, but most Delamgan in these parts are hostile to Keith. So you can understand why none of us went rushing over there to find it when we heard the Adragon had died. Still, Delamgan queens can be reasoned with, so if you want to get the heart peacefully, try not to kill her guards. Do be careful. Emerald Stair is not itself these days.
Well, let's go. That Adragon's heart isn't gonna yank itself out.
Ado, welcome to my fine establishment.